All right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the late start. Had some issues I had to deal with, but it looks like I got it all going now. So, good morning, Mr. Buttram. Good morning, Mike Whaley. I keep wanting to say Mike Wiley instead of Whaley because now that you changed your channel name to Wiley's 3D. Morning, Matrix. So yeah, I go to say Whaley and I'm looking at Wiley, and so it comes out of my mouth Wiley. What's going on, Ed? Hope everybody's doing wonderful this morning. I know it's my turn in the rotation to fill the void left by Walter getting a job. So we will get and do some modeling in a little bit. I'm still trying to get my brain wrapped around that, but we can hang out in the meantime. It at least gives us a place to be. And they couldn't remember your last name, so they just called you Wiley. That's cool. So, of course, one of the things to talk about this morning is the announcement from PrinterBot yesterday. They're closing their doors now. I never. Good morning, Skalda. I never had the chance to use a PrinterBot. Good morning, James. I will, buddy. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Techno Geek, I don't know. Have you come into what I know you're in Walter streams all the time? Is this have you been in mine before? I don't remember. Yeah, yeah. I did want to say a few words on that, and I mean I know I haven't been in the community very long, but I know some of the early videos I watched. Some of our favorite YouTubers were featuring their PrinterBot machines and talking a lot about them. And so, I know that PrinterBot had um, a significant impact on the community, and especially, in the early days of desktop 3D printing. Good morning, Rover. And so, anytime you lose a company that's a significant piece of the community, it's a bad thing. It sucks, but also they were one of the few companies that weren't just copying somebody else's printer design and building one and putting it out there. Because you can look at their printers and tell that their design philosophy, their approach to how they built their machines was different than anybody else's, and they're also a true innovator in the industry. Um, and it's a real shame because I think that had the timing been better on it, I think the printer belt could have been a game changer for them, because it's a technology that they were the only ones that were going to be bringing it to the maker community at an affordable price. And so, I think had that innovation happened sooner, it might have changed the course for them. I don't know. Of course, it's speculation at this point. Yeah, I stayed up too late watching Pooch building on his last night, so I didn't get any sleep. And that's why I look haggard and even. I didn't even shower and all that this morning before I got on here. I usually try to shower and get all cleaned up for you guys. So that's going to have to wait till after the stream today. Yeah, James, I think that's just it. Is I think they were on the cusp of being able to do something, um, really special with the printer belt. I think they were that could have been a game changer for them, and it just fell short. So I'm really bummed by it. Now, and if my printers had been last night when I was reading on Twitter, if I'd have been up here and had them ready to go in easy access, I would have done what everybody else was doing and flown them at half Z. And I have not done so, but as you can see behind me, I haven't touched them. They just sat on the shelf. Yeah, the quality certainly was not where it needed to be the game changer, but the technology was there, and it would only have been a matter of time before they figured out. Good morning, Sholm. Must be at work. I see the all caps is on. Walter, good morning. So yeah, we haven't started designing anything. I got a little bit of a late start. We haven't started designing anything. I was just chit chatting, hanging out. We were talking about PrinterBot and the sad news that we received yesterday that the PrinterBot was closing its doors, and every time we lose a company like that in the community, and it's a bad day. Every time a business closes like that, also we end up seeing you don't want to feel like a vulture circling, trying to get your hands on what inventory they had left at discount rates and things like that, and that just seems sad. I wish there was something the community could do to prevent them from having to close their doors, but all intents and purposes that I've seen, Brooke is a savvy businessman, and so I mean, if he decided it was time to shut the doors, then I'm sure he tried everything he could. I'm sure he sat down and figured out any way possible and just didn't see it, and decided to throw in the towel. But yeah, so it is what it is. So we move forward now without one of the companies that is responsible for inspiring a lot of the community and a lot of the great makers that we know and love. James's video, I know he got his start with a PrinterBot. I know Tom Sandlatter, he spoke very highly of his PrinterBot and would show it on camera and stuff all the time in his videos. And so, I mean, I know that printer had to have been a special printer for him as well, and had some meaning. So I'm sure this is something that's felt globally throughout the community, not just a few people. There's because PrinterBot's been around for a long time. I haven't decided yet. We just need more drama. Oh. Hey now. Hey now. Be nice. I agree, James. Too far. Don't don't get me. Don't turn my channel into an NSFW channel. Besides, well, one of these days, healthcare is going to be too expensive for us, and all of us are going to be wanting to crawl over the border up north and get some healthcare. Uh, Thank you, James. Thank you for stopping in and hanging out with us today. You have a good day, sir. Whatever I guess you're probably working today. Most normal people are working today. And I'll be working, but just not till tonight. Got the show 6:15 to 10:15 tonight at the stage on the rooftop. Yeah, Walter, you get back to work, you slacker. You ain't been at work long enough to be slacking off. Techno Geek's working from home today. Well, Mike, we know you're not normal. Ain't nothing normal about you, man. No. Okay. Oh. So yeah, the printer bot news sucks, but it is what it is, and I'm sure they're getting you a VPN set up so you can work from home. Awesome. Now, how often are they going to let you do that, or do you know yet? I'm sure once you prove to them that you can be productive from home, it will be more often than in the beginning. Yeah, it'll probably be one of those situations where they set you up so that you can work from home, and then they trust you to do it. And if you just crank out an immense amount of work, get it done in an insane time, and everything, they'll go, maybe this Walter working from home thing ain't such a bad idea. And then we don't have to look at him every day either if we have him work from home. So I'm seeing a win-win. Just giving you crap, Walter. Because I get to be the one with the microphone today. KC, baby. I support my Royals. I'm supporting my boys in blue, even though they absolutely suck this year. They are terrible, and they're going to be terrible for several more years. They really are, because they completely emptied the farm system for the runs that they made in 2014 and 2015, and so then when all the young talent that was cost controllable for a while got to the free agent market, they weren't affordable for a small market team anymore. And so they all left, went somewhere else, and we didn't have anything waiting in the pipeline to take their spot that was anywhere close to that caliber. So although you get the Royals get your boys Brady Singer and Jackson Kowar up to the big league level, and they look like what everyone's expecting them to look like, I might wear a Gators hat. because the Royals drafted them 2 Gators in the first round of the draft this year, and all the experts are saying they look like the legit deal. So, if they step up, hit the big leagues, and they're the number 1 and number 2 starters on our staff, I might do that. Good morning, John Mack. I apologize for my late start this morning. I had some issues, but I got them taken care of. Everything seems to be working. How's the stream? The stream looking all right? Is anybody noticing any slowdown or audio difficulties or anything like that? Because I think we're good now. John Mack says hi, and he's not here. So nobody look at John Mack because he's not here. Printed a low poly dragon this morning on the A8. And printed a dragon on the Core A8 yesterday. And have a group on the Core A8 today. You guys are all doing more printing than I'm doing. I haven't even turned the printers on in over a week. And I need to. I need to print some stuff. When I have time, I don't feel like it. I'd probably feel a lot more like it if it wasn't as much of a chore to print something as it is on these printers. If I had a printer that I could just, turn it on, stick the SD card in, hit go. But both of my printers are a little bit of a chore to get things going. The X1, I have to position the power cable just right so it's not cutting off, and secure it so that it stays there without cutting off the power. And then, so yeah, I need to just order a replacement power supply for it. And then the A8 is a pain because the bed, even with glass on it, for some reason is nowhere near flat. And so just trying to get that first layer down is tough. Yeah, and I need to spend some time just working on them and trying to get them dialed in better and working better. But I wish I just had a printer that just did what I needed to do without fiddling with it. Yeah, I wish I could meet some more of y'all in person and go to one of those rep festivals, but they always happen on weekends. Yeah, unicorn printers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they. Although many printers are easier to work with, just from what I've seen, than the 2 that I have. But if I put the time into getting a print started and the first layer goes down good, then after that point I can get, trust them to usually do the job. Except for every once in a while the X1 just shuts off without anybody touching it, being close to it, nothing. It just poof, power goes off. Good morning, Apocalypse Survivor. How are you this morning? I know normally this was planned to be design time day. I don't feel that motivated this morning, so I was just kind of hanging out and chatting for now, and when I find some motivation, we'll get started on that. But one thing is that the next thing I needed to do with that coin of red lights that we were working on was put text on it, and I never have had the chance because of work since. And now my camera's wanting to focus on what's behind me. I haven't had a chance to sit down and learn how to do that, because normally Tuesdays are a day off for me, and this Tuesday was not. I worked the late shift, so whenever I work a late shift like that, the closing shift, I end up, my whole day ends up screwed up when I work a closing shift, because then I end up spending half the day in bed trying to take a nap somewhere between when I normally wake up and when I normally go to work. I spend the whole day trying to take a nap, and I have trouble sleeping as it is. And then I usually end up dozing off about a half an hour before I got to get up and get ready for it. I do not have an Amazon wish list. It's called I don't. Um, if I did, it would end up, you know, it would end up full of stuff that I want but don't actually need, and so I have a harder time with putting a wish list together like that when I'm like, it's just stuff I want. It's not stuff I need, because it, you know right now I'm in a very blessed situation. I got the X1 from Chris Riley. I got this computer sitting over here from Red Light, and those two gifts were very, very meaningful for many reasons. They got me the things that I need. Other things beyond that start becoming, there's things I want, but they become, it's not so much a need as it is a want. And I'm one of those guys that, man, wants for me have always been, it's a luxury. If I get to it, I get to it, and great, and I will, on a lot of the stuff. When I get back from vacation, I'm going to reach my final decision on what printer I'm finally going to be the first printer that I purchase brand new for me. The power supply unit on the X1 is a little power brick, a little 12 volt 5 amp power brick. The Anycubic Ultra Base for the A8. Now, is that just the sheet of glass, or is that replacing the whole bed? It's called I don't know. I've never looked. Like, does it replace the aluminum plate and all? So yeah, it's the bed and the glass. Cool. Let me look that up. Anycubic Ultra Base A8. So the 220 by 220 Ultra Base plus hot. Is that what I would be ordering? Go take a nap, Rover. Get some rest, man. Actually, like, just shut down and get some actual sleep. Although I'm not one to talk, I just told you I don't sleep much anymore either. So yeah, I'll talk to you about that over on the Discord later, Mike Whaley. We'll see what you got. I just got mine yesterday. Thought a hotbed came with it, but nope. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. I'm sure you were storming around the house saying a few choice words about it. That it wasn't what you expected it to be. Yeah, the new power supply for the X1 is not going to be expensive. somebody over on Mike Whaley's Discord, I think it was Mike Whaley's Discord yesterday, found me one for like $7. So I just need to order it. See you in 15 minutes once you're rested. Yeah, right, Sean? He'll say he's fading and he's going to go take a nap, and then my Twitter feed will explode with giveaways. So let's see. Let's go to the screen share. So is this is this what I need to look at getting? Where did my? That's the one. And so this is the. It comes like that. So it is the. The hotbed and the glass. $30. That seems like a really good price for the hotbed with the glass. And frequently bought together. Oh, sorry. Frequently bought together a 2-pack of MOSFETs and oh, is that springs? What is that? Yeah, leveling springs. So frequently bought together as people buy leveling springs and a pair of MOSFETs with it. Yeah, it seems like a really reasonable price. I'm sure that would be easier. The warped up glass that is presently taped, yes, not clipped, taped on the bed. That's still the way it is from when I bought it. I haven't changed anything. Where's my pop-out chat go? I guess it's no longer popped out. I must have accidentally closed it. My son's friend Corey stayed the night again. Starting to feel like he lives here. Yeah, I'll make myself an Amazon wish list. I will do that. I will do that today, and I will put it. I'll put it in the video descriptions in the future. So starting next week, starting Tuesday, or around not Tuesday, not next week. Darn it. Yeah. For those of y'all that are here, next week I will not be available to do this. I will be on vacation. I will be headed to Myrtle Beach. So when I get done with my show Saturday night, I will come straight home from my show. We will pack the car. I will climb in the passenger seat, close my eyes. My wife will climb in the driver's seat, and we will be heading towards Myrtle Beach. And I'm excited because we are going to be getting to... What's that? You're not in the way. You You can walk through. Anyway, yeah, we're heading to Myrtle Beach. I'm excited because I need some time to unwind. Working 6 days a week is catching up to me. Working 6 days a week is taking its toll on me a little bit, and seven last week because I even ended up playing a late shift on Tuesday. So I'm in the midst of a very, very long stretch. Let's see, that's my last day off was a week ago. Last Tuesday was the last time I had a day off. Yeah, they said they saw you, Corey. You're not sneaky. They saw you.
Okay.
So yeah, I need a little time to decompress and not worry about things for a few days. So, and also I'm going to get to see my cousin, um, who I have not seen in over 20 years. Um, when I was a kid, I grew up thinking she was my half sister. Turns out, my jacked up family, she's my cousin, and she had kind of gotten away from the family because of some of the same reasons I ended up getting away from the family. So um, we're going to have a chance to get together and have dinner, and so because she lives in Myrtle Beach, so it'll be really cool. And good morning, Chris Riley. How you doing this morning, buddy? Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's Chris Riley from Chris's Basement. Yeah, I'm slacking this morning, Chris. I haven't designed anything yet. And mainly because the next thing I was supposed to design was putting text on the coin that we were working on for red light, and I never did get a chance to go find a tutorial and learn how to do that in Blender. So I'm like, the next thing I'm supposed to be doing, I don't know how to do, and I don't want to learn on camera with everybody. I want to learn off camera and then show you all how to do it. I'm I'm doing good, man. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'll be honest. I'm so ready for my vacation. I'm so ready for my vacation. I don't take near enough time off. I don't take enough time for myself. And sometimes it catches up to you and you get a little bit wore out. And that's where I'm at right now, is I'm wore out. So Saturday night after my show, I'll be on vacation. We will head to Myrtle Beach Sunday night, or Sunday morning rather. We'll get there Sunday afternoon. I will spend Sunday evening through Wednesday morning in Myrtle Beach. We will start heading back Wednesday morning. We're stopping in Asheville to take in a single A baseball game between whatever Asheville's team's name is and the Lexington Legends. The Lexington Legends are the single A affiliate of my Kansas City Royals, and several of the Royals' top prospects are in Lexington right now. So we'll stop in Asheville and we'll watch Asheville and Lexington play, and I'll get to see some of my future boys in blue. Yeah, I'm hoping to unwind on the beach a little bit, and the hotel we're staying at, it's really more of a resort. It has a water park on site, so that'll be cool, you know. And the water park has a lazy river, so I imagine at some point I'll be sitting on a tube, unconscious, floating around in circles. But yeah, this is a vacation that was made possible by that royalty check that I was going to use to buy a printer. And when the royalty check turned out to be bigger than we expected it to be, my wife saw vacation instead of me seeing printer. So, and now that it's getting closer to the actual vacation, I'm less and less concerned by the fact that I didn't get a printer with that money. That I'm like, I know I need this. I need to step away from Broadway for a couple days. Broadway's killing me right now. Part of it is I'm getting old. I'm getting old, and the life of a Broadway musician is not an easy one. You know, some days you work at start show your show at 11 o'clock in the morning. Other days you start your show at 10:15 at night, and I mean that can flip flop itself from one day to the next. You can play a closing shift one night and have the opening shift the next day, and it just you get to a certain age where that gets hard. it's a it's a young person's game, that's for sure. Yeah, young whippersnapper. I got 20 years on you, man. I'm 41. I'm 41 years old, and I'm doing well for 41. I think body's not too broke down, but every once in a while, man, it just gets to be too much. My knees are going and my back is going, but that's to be expected. My knees and back have been bad for years, though. Too much jumping off of stage. When you jump off of a stage, it's 3 or 4 feet high. The landing is hard on your knees. And when you do it every single show, sometimes 2 and 3 times a show, and you do it for, God, 28 years, it just gets hard on the body after a while. I don't look forward to those times when I jump off stage as much as I used to. Now I view it as a necessity to keep the energy and entertainment level up on the show, more than I do looking forward to jumping off the stage. But it's not the same when you walk down the stairs on the stage and out into the crowd that way. It doesn't have the same impact. Yeah, Chris, man, it's tougher at 41 than it was at 25. A lot tougher. But you know, the record industry and the fact that they don't sign old guys like me, I don't know how much of that plays into it as much as it is just purely from a money making factor. Because when a record label signs somebody, they ask themselves a singular but two-parted question, and that's, can we make money off of him? Number one, and number two, for how long? And so, guys my age, the 20 somethings aren't going to buy your concert tickets and your merchandise. What 22-year-old girl wants a picture of a 41-year-old man on their shirt? So, I think mostly it's about the money making aspect of it, but I'm sure, the grind of a musician's life is a factor in, you know, do we want to sign a 40-year-old guy and then slap him on a bus with 12 other people and drag him around all over the country? Because I don't know if you guys realize this, but when you aren't a big deal, when you're getting started and you aren't a big deal, those tour buses that you see rolling down the road, they're usually like 12, 13 people sleeping on one bus. And that's the artist, the band, the crew, all crammed together in one bus and sleeping in bunks that aren't much bigger than they are. that are stacked 3 and 4 high inside the bus. And so not only do you got to figure out how to sleep in those cramped quarters, you got to figure out how to deal with the rigors of the bus is moving while you're trying to sleep. You're sharing your tiny living space with 12 other people, and yeah, and eating like a cockroach because you can't eat right when you're on the road. You just can't. I can speak from experience. You end up eating garbage because garbage is easier. You can't eat right. Good morning, Red Light. I'm sorry I have not finished your Maker coin. I have not sat down and done a tutorial and learned how to put text on it yet in Blender. You had to fix the crane. Well, you don't want a broken crane, man. That's not good. Broken equipment can be dangerous. Robbie Mack. What's going on, brother? I was busting up at Mrs. Telling the other night when she kept saying Robbie MAQ. I was like, we all just called him Robbie Mack. And she's like, that was from Robbie MAQ. I was laughing. You got quite a few mentions on that stream though, man. Which is not easy when there's that many people in the stream. I was almost tempted to go back and I'm like, how much money did he bank off that stream the other night? Because man, the donations were just rolling in. And there were, 4 separate times I saw $50 donations come in. I'm like, he got the printer for free and probably made enough money to buy another one. Yeah, there were at least four $50 donations. Joel Telling's CRX build live stream, and he had his wife on the live stream, which was cool. It was entertaining. She was kind of his co-host and helped kind of keep track of chat for him a little bit. And, I think the chat overwhelmed her a little bit, but of course it's going to because his chat goes insane. I can't keep up with my chat, and I got, 8 or 9 people in here, maybe 10, 11, 12 at the most. I couldn't imagine trying to be 100% up on chat when you have that many people. And that's why, it gets to a point where he just kind of cherry picks through the messages that he sees, one that he wants to respond to. Oh, absolutely, Sean. Absolutely. He's one of the biggest champions of the 3D printing community there is. And, he's kind of one of the reasons I got into this. I mean, when I found out that 3D printing had become affordable, because I hadn't checked on it in years. When I found out it had become affordable, I was like, well, I'm one to do research and, try to make an educated decision on what machines that I get. And yet I've got an X1 and an A8 sitting behind me. But I try to educate myself a little bit. And so I ended up watching a whole bunch of Joel Telling's videos because they were not only informative but entertaining. And so he does a great job, and I'm so happy for him that he's able to do this for a living because he deserves it. Anytime somebody gets to do what they love to do, what they're passionate about for a living is a beautiful thing. And I get to do that. I do. And I'm so very blessed that I get to be a musician on Broadway in Nashville for a living. I am tired though. I'll admit I am wore out, and even doing something you love, you need a break every once in a while. I did see parts of Neri's stream. Neri's stream made the CRX look good. Uh, I was not left with the impression that the machine was anywhere near worth it after watching Maker's Muse and watching uh, Joel. I was not under the impression that I would ever be remotely interested in spending that much money on that machine. But Neri's made it make more sense that it costs what it does. If that makes sense. Neri's made it, because he started pointing out, he said you take a CR10, you add a second extruder to it, you add a really nice touchscreen interface to it, you add a Meanwell power supply, and you enclose it all in a single unit, and you put an ultra bass bed on it, and you started going, okay, well, yeah, if you took a CR10 and you changed it to a 24-volt power Meanwell power supply, and put a second extruder on it and a touch screen, a 32-bit board, and you started doing all that stuff, you would quickly run up near that $800 or over. Yeah, yeah, I agreed. He's a salesman. He is a salesman. He's more of a salesman than a reviewer, I think. Maybe, kind of. But he didn't have near as many issues getting the printer doing what it was supposed to be doing as Angus or Joel. And I'm not saying that. I'm definitely not saying that he's more technically inclined than they are, but he certainly had an easier time getting his setup and getting his printing. So maybe he lucked out and his machine was better, or maybe he's just better at getting a machine initially going and getting a print off of it, since he does it so often, because the man has so many printers. I don't know if I don't know anybody that's got as many printers as Nery's, because he's got, he keeps all of his printers. He flat out says that. He gets them for free. He reviews them, and he keeps them, and he says he uses them all. I don't know how you would have enough hours in the day just to start prints on that many printers. Most of the time I can't find time in my day to start prints on those two little printers sitting back there. John's not here. uh, but yeah, Nery's made the printer look good, man. He did. While Joel and Angus both left me with the impression that neither one of them would recommend the machine at that price point and in its current state, with its uh, lack of auto bed leveling, and I mean, and fiddliness to put together and to get printing. Which, knowing my luck, my experience with the printer, with the machine, would be closer in line with the experience that like Angus had, where there'd be problems and you would have to deal with those problems, because that's just the way things go for me. Although I've had more success with the X1 than most people seem to have with the X1s. Because my only problem with the X1 is that power supply I need to replace. Um, the machine itself does what it's supposed to do. I mean, it doesn't have the greatest print quality in the world, but it does print. Well, I imagine Creality's Ultra Base is the one that we're seeing show up on all their printers now, too. Their version of Ultra Base is what's on the CRX and the CR20. Yeah, yeah, Chris, I'm sure. A few months from now, and they'll be on yeah, like you said, version 23 of the printer, and it'll have auto bed leveling, and it'll have auto bed leveling, and it'll come out of the box with the firmware already switched over to English. And a new printer every month next year. Yeah, I'd say I cut a lot of his stream. I signed out there for a while when he was going way off the train of thought with he was talking about cannibalism, and I was like, okay, I'm not interested in that. I'll come back and see if he's back on the printer later. Yeah, I think the machines that we're seeing right now being reviewed, and it'll be interesting to see if there's any differences by the time they send the one that they're sending to Walter to him. I think a lot of the machines we're seeing now are literally these are the machines that they've been using and testing and beta testing themselves at their office, and they finally got them to a point where they thought they were worthy of showing to the public. They disassembled them, boxed them up, and sent them out because Angus said that the machine he had that he got, the hot end, had obviously seen a lot of use. Yeah, his stream got a little weird at that moment, so I was like, I gotta go. I'll check back in later and see if he's back to talking about the printer. Yeah, and a lot of the reason that they send these printers out to the people that they send them out to is, um, if you notice, most of the people they send them out to are people who form opinions on machines and things that are wrong with the machine, and aren't afraid to tell them that that's wrong with the machine. Um, because Nary's, Chris, I don't know his last name. His first name's Chris Nary's. Um, Joel and Angus, all of them will be straight up front and will tell a company outright what they see as being problems, things that need to be improved, things that and I think that these companies probably need to reach out to our good buddy Chris Riley, because I know Chris would do the same thing. I know Chris would be able to tell them, you know, if you tweaked this, or if you did this different, or if you did this better, it would make a better machine. And I know a lot of people jump out and say, well, send me free printers, send me free printers. I want to review them. I want to review them. if you don't have something beneficial for the company, if it's purely from an advertising standpoint, and don't get me wrong, that has some benefit to the company, but if you don't have the ability to tell them from like an engineering standpoint what's wrong with the machine, then I don't know how many companies are going to be sending stuff out like that in this climate. A year or so ago, GearBest was sending printers out to anybody and everybody, and affiliate links for everyone. Your dog can have an affiliate link, but we're seeing an end to that. GearBest is tightened down the requirements to send out printers. But yeah, Chris, man, I think a company would do well to send you their machines, because you could build it on a live stream, and then I've watched enough of your builds, man. You wouldn't pull any punches with them when it came to, really what were you thinking when you did this? It's a very questionable design choice, and all you would have had to have done is done this, this, and this would have been so much better. And you're the type to do that, and have the knowledge to know what you're talking about when you tell them that. And so if a company would send you a printer for review and you reviewed it, you would give them some good feedback that they could use to improve their machines. It wouldn't just be an advertising bit. It wouldn't be a commercial. You would actually be doing some design improvement for them, for their machines, and tell them what they could do to improve their designs. And then, through contact with the company, I know you would update people on, I got a message from so-and-so, they're fixing this and this and this and this. And that would do better for a company in today's climate, I think, than just an advertisement of the best 3D printer under X amount of dollars. Like, I can't stand, there's some guy's videos that I can't stand. I'm drawing a blank on his name. The guy with the mohawk and that opens his boxes with a switchblade. You guys have seen his videos. You know what I'm talking about. Every printer he gets is the best 3D printer. And we know that's not the case. I watch his videos and I'm like, please, God, GearBest, send him a hoonie. Send him a hoonie and let's watch him struggle his way through telling everybody this one's the best one. Is that mean? Is that mean of me? That I'm begging for GearBest to send him an absolutely terrible machine? GearBest, send him a Hoonie H6, please. Please. Let's watch his video then and see if he comes up with a way of saying that this is the best 3D printer. He drives me nuts with that. What's his name? He's got a mohawk. He opens his boxes with a switchblade. He flips a switchblade around before he opens it, which he's, probably not the kind of guy you'd want to meet in a dark alley. He's kind of a little bit scary on that aspect. So, yeah, if he's out there, if he ever watches this, stay away from me. No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Dylan. Yeah, Dylan Kowalski or something like that. And he's probably a perfectly lovely human being. He's probably great. But his videos offer no real value to a consumer. Because I've watched his videos on some printers that aren't great printers. And he tells them that they're the best printer ever. Because he gave a glowing review to the Tronxy X3S. And I watched dozens of other videos on the Tronxy X3S, and it was an okay machine for the price, but it was just an okay machine. It was not a great machine. Yeah, Chris, I would love for them to send you a Huni H6 also. But I truly believe that if anybody could get it running, I believe there are two people I watch on YouTube that could either get the Huni H6 running as it's intended or repurpose its parts into something cool. There's only two that I would trust in that regard, and that is Chris Riley and Tom Sandletter. I put you guys in very similar regard when it comes to technical knowledge and ability. Yeah, no, I mean, would I love for a printer company to send me printers? Sure. Would I put them together on a stream and talk about them and my experience with them? Yeah, I would. But I don't have the technical expertise to give them the kind of feedback that would truly improve their company and their printer. And that's the reality of it. That doesn't mean I wouldn't take a review unit if somebody wants to send me one. I would. And I would do my best with it. And I would put it together on a stream, and I would ask questions if I had to ask questions, and we would get it working, and then I would give you a layman's point of view on it. Absolutely. But I certainly don't have the technical expertise to give someone the kind of feedback that Naries or Joel or Tom or Joe 3D Maker Noob or Chris Riley, and you know, I don't have that experience and technical know-how with these machines, at least not to this point. That doesn't mean I won't, because you know, I am a fairly technical person, and eventually I may get to a point where I understand these machines well enough to know, okay, well, this machine when I put it together was doing this, and this is why that would happen, or here's one of the 3 reasons why that would happen, and so I looked into it, and this was what was wrong. You know, I will get there at some point. But yes, Chris, absolutely, man. I hold you in the same regard as I do Tom Sandlatter as far as technical expertise and knowledge. And what I give you a leg up on is you present it to us normal folks in a way that doesn't go over our heads, at least not as badly. There are times when Tom is talking, he's such a brilliant mind, you know, German engineer, that sometimes he forgets, I think, who he's talking to. That he's not talking to other German engineers. He's talking to guys who have, you know, never done that sort of stuff before and have no idea what he's talking about sometimes. Oh, hey, it slipped by me in the chat. Good morning, Fernando Pena. You got to feel right at home now, you know. Keep that going. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Red light. Yeah. I don't. You know, it's not saying that I'll never know that stuff. You know, because I very well could and get to a more technical, you know, tech savvy point with this. I mean, I was a PHP developer for a living. You know, I can sit and talk that kind of stuff with the best of them, but a lot of it's a matter of being of some experience and some hands-on with stuff. You know, I know what all the parts are called and I know what they do, but I haven't had enough experience actually printing yet to pick up a print that has failures in it, look at it, and tell you why it's doing that. And so you know, that's an experience thing. I have not watched your videos yet, Shulm. When I had time for YouTube last night, it was all spent watching Neary's, and then after that, after Neary's I was watching Pooch. But I'll catch up on that. But I had my my music live stream last night as well, so I had a very busy internet day yesterday, and it was, you know, aside from my live stream, was a day off-ish. You know, I had 100 other things to do. But I will watch those today, Sean, because your videos usually aren't very long, so it makes them easy to go in and watch. You're right, Apocalypse Survivor. Chris delivers stuff in a very succinct way. It's easy to understand, and he doesn't talk over your head. Chris doesn't ever seem to forget that he's talking to mere mortals. Good morning, Zimmy. Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely, man. I would love that. And get on like a Google Hangouts and we'll just hang out. I'm always down for that. It's not as much a matter of me being busy as it's when I'm not busy is when everybody else is, because I work at nighttime and I'm available like now during the day. So yeah, I have gotten no designing done today whatsoever, but I've had a good time on the stream. I hope everybody else has too. I mean, we're down to, if we're still going to cut it off on time, I may let it run past that. I don't know. Right. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I mean, but that's how you learn. You dive in and you do it, and if it doesn't work out, you figure out why it doesn't work out, and you try it again. That was my entire experience of learning to fix cars. Is you know, cars would break. I couldn't afford to have a mechanic fix it, so I'd be out there with wrenches and a Haynes or Chilton's manual, trying to figure it out. Yeah, cool, man. Absolutely. I would love to do that. So yeah, I would love to do a joint stream with Mr. Chris Riley. Because I do have a technical background. I can understand and speak the language. I just don't know enough yet about 3D printing to, like I said, pick up a print, look at the problems on it, and tell you exactly why it has those problems. If I could, I'd have the X1 printing even better than it does, and the print's okay. But like none of my projects survived my grandson's visit. I just noticed this yesterday evening, yeah, that he got his hands on another project that I had been printing and working on slowly, and he tore it up too, and it's got to be reprinted. I love my grandson, but he is a little tornado of a human being. He destroys everything in his path. So yeah, this used to have two doors on it, and the doors are printed in place, so they print as one piece. and he broke the door off. So I have to reprint this now because there's no fixing it. But like, speaking of not being able to tell you why something's happening, if I can get it to focus. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get it to focus. I mean, it printed pretty well, but there's a ridge that happens every so often. The ridge, 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 ridge. And that's happening, let's see, what was the orientation that was printed in? Along the x-axis. I think the x-axis. I think that was the orientation I had that printed in. It's been too long. I'll know when I print it again because I got to reprint it. Yeah, next time I need to put them up higher, but that kid finds ways to get his hands on anything and everything if he's not watched like a hawk. And so, yeah, I would go to work in the evenings and I would come home and get up in the next morning, and I'd come up here and everything would be just destroyed. Stuff that I thought there was no way he'd get his hands on. He got his hands on it. Here's my co-host. Yes, the ridge is evenly spaced. And if memory is serving me correctly, it's on the x-axis. Joey's giving me a dirty look now. He didn't like that. He's under the desk now giving me dirty looks. He's like, leave me alone, Dad. I was trying to take a nap. So yeah, like I said, I believe it was on the x-axis. I could be wrong, but yeah, very evenly spaced, and in the same space, same spot, every layer. So yeah, I know it's something that is repeating itself on a consistent basis in the same spot every time. So I knew it was a mechanical problem. I just don't know enough about these machines to know exactly where to look. And so, yeah, you say lopsided pulley. Because if I could get that problem taken care of, the X1 actually prints beautifully. Just don't know if I can get it in a good enough angle where you guys can. You can kind of make it out there. Oh, there we go. Yeah, super consistent. Absolutely. Walter's Mail Thing Thursday just dropped, so yeah, here in half an hour, I will get off of here and we can all go do that thing. Watch Mail Thing Thursday. Although some of us probably got to see some of the Mail Thing Thursday before we were supposed to when he accidentally hit stream instead of record. Yeah, he was watching a live stream and he thought he was recording. So we're all sitting there commenting and talking about it. And like, look, he thinks he's recording. It's like, oh, he's going to be mad. And I think just about the time he stopped, you saw that look of recognition as he was clicking to turn it off. That look of recognition that, oh crap, that's not what I thought. Because he had this look on his face. Deer in the headlight moment. It was great. Oh, I'm going to catch crap for that. You're hearing Chris Riley in your sleep and you still can't get the octopi to work. I'm sorry, Fernando, that was funny. Yeah, his evening streams just, I end up missing them. They come at a time when uh, there's just very little time for me. Even as I discovered yesterday on a day where I'm not driving downtown, you know, that's a time of day when my wife is home from work. We're dealing with dinner, getting things ready for my live stream. You know, it's just not a good time for me, which is why me and Mike decided to pick up the mantle and try to keep a morning based show running. Um, I know I'm nowhere near as good at this as Walter. I'm not, and I, I'm not trying to be, but I just I would miss getting the opportunity to hang out and chat with you guys and keep up with y'all um, without some form of morning show. And so yeah, I like I said, this one, you know, I initially intended to do this as a thing where I do design, and maybe I only do that, you know, do the design part once a week, and we just sit and chat the other day. I don't know. I didn't feel motivated to do it today, and the next thing that I need to do, I don't have the knowledge to do yet. So I haven't sat down and figured that out. Yeah, Fernando. Chris is a great dude. If anybody can guide you and get you sorted out, it's him. Um, he knows what he's talking about, and he'll get you on track. Yeah. Uh, and the first layer, there's I don't know. I mean, his streams are all right. I just they're not my cup of tea. They don't seem as personal. Yeah, it feels. I don't know. He feels like it feels like back when I was working in factories and stuff like that. Like I'm showing up and listening to a meeting at the factory and the boss is talking. It doesn't feel like a friend. It doesn't feel like, and maybe that's just me, but that's just the vibe I get off of it. Yeah, and you know that's one of the things I loved about Walters is in his streams is he doesn't turn it into um, a commercial so much as it's just hanging out and chit chatting. You know, now he does advertise and he advertises, you know, small businesses that need it and that are good, potentially at least good for the company, the community. Pizza printer. Yeah, Apocalypse. Yeah, it kind of yeah. Like I said, for me, it feels like I'm sitting and listening to a boss at a factory talk to his employees. It doesn't feel like I'm hanging out with a friend. Are A pizza printer. Are you talking about the one where they modified the Monoprice Mini to have that turnstile build plate on it, or? Okay. Well, see, when you said pizza printer, I was picturing that was it Bill Steele that had the that Monoprice Mini that he had put the circular build plate that did turn and had like modified the firmware to use it. And it looked like one of those pizza ovens that rotate the pizza underneath the heat lamp. Yeah, I think it was Bill Steele. I think he modified a Monoprice Mini, and it has a circular build plate under it, and the build plate rotates. And he like did some custom firmware for it and stuff to make it work. It's really neat. Let's see if I can find it. With trying to find this. I can't find it now. A project I would love to see somebody smarter than me tackle, but in the community that would actually show us their progress and stuff. And so yeah, Chris Riley, I'm looking at you, is one of those Scara arm 3D printers, like the what's it called? The Helios. I would love to see Chris Riley tackle Helios. Because I know Chris would do better than what the Helios's creator has done at showing us how it's built and how it works. Because there's documentation out there that shows you, but it's a very dry approach to learning how it works and figuring it all out. While I know Chris would give us a much more in-depth and entertaining look at building it, at printing the parts and putting it together and how it works and why it works. Dodging the printer. Well, then that means you have too many printers, Chris, and you need to make some room by doing some giveaways. The community will love you for it. You know, Angus says he likes to empower our creativity, but what better way to empower your creativity than to give you a 3D printer? No, seriously, if you need to make some room, though, you could sell them or donate them as a charitable cause to a local makerspace if there is one, and then have a tax write-off. Morning, David Olson. But yeah, I would love to see a Helios that gets built right before our eyes. I don't know if it can do a full circle, but it definitely does more than half. It does over half. I know that. The problem they were having, which I believe they tackled in the firmware, was the arm is two pieces like this. So when it's on one side, the arm has to maintain, as it flips itself over, its positioning, because at one point it has to literally rotate itself around to come from the other angle, so that instead of coming from this side, it's coming from this side. And that was one of the big hurdles they had in the firmware, was trying to get it to keep its position when it reached that critical point that it could keep printing and that pivot point could change itself. Yeah, you'd have a hole the size of the base of the printer in something. You might be able to mount one in the center of a circle and go all the way around. I don't know. That would be interesting to find out. Mount it to the ceiling. Someone walks in your house and goes, "What do you got on your ceiling?" That's the weirdest ceiling fan I ever seen. What you got that black circle up there on the ceiling for? Oh, well, build tack. What's that? You knew I was going to grab you, didn't you? You knew. Come here. Come here. Just look at me like I'm crazy. Joey. Joey says no. Hashtag Joey the Jog. Robbie Mack breaks lots of things. Yeah, Mail Thing Thursday is out. It came out 13 minutes ago, or at least 13 minutes ago I got my notification. Chris Riley needs to be on Twitter. Didn't he know what a hashtag is? Yeah, hashtag is a pound sign for all you non-Twitter users. I appreciate you guys stopping by today and chatting and just hanging out, and forgive me for not being motivated to do any modeling today. I just wasn't. Tell me you don't have a Joey. I have a Joey the dog. Joseph Elliott Tanner. Our doggy. Right? I'm older than you, Chris Riley. I can still remember having a rotary phone in my home. It's been a while, been a long time ago, but I can remember hating uh, hating when you found out your friend's number had a lot of zeros in it. Just like, ah! You had a number with lots of ones, man. Ones. We like ones. They're quick. Yes, I know a Joey is a baby kangaroo, but no, I got a Joey the dog. And right now he's laying over on the guest bed, and he doesn't want to come over here and say hi. I didn't have party lines. My grandparents did, and still did when I was a kid, because they lived on a farm out in the country. So you could pick up the phone and just hear somebody talking. And you could just sit and listen into their conversation, because I did it. I was a kid, you know. Yeah, well, the folks that my grandparents shared their line with out in the country, they were your typical farm folks. They didn't talk on the phone much, and when they did, it was only because they had to, and they did it for as little time as they needed. Because I would spend my summers with my grandpa a lot, and grandma and grandpa, and it was get up before the sun had even come up, and he would read yesterday's paper because today's paper hadn't come out yet, and drink a cup of coffee. And the second the sun had lit the sky well enough that you could even halfway see, it was out the door, and it was feeding the cows and the pigs and the chickens and all that stuff. And then after you got all the animals fed, it was uh, back in the house for breakfast. We'd have breakfast, and then it was back out the door to work in the fields. And then we'd come in for lunch. Then it was back out to the fields. You come in for dinner, and then it was back out to work on the garden. And then it was bedtime, and then the next day was repeat, 7 days a week. There was no end in sight. So if anybody out there doesn't appreciate what farmers do, it's because you haven't seen that life. Because they work from the time the sun comes up to the time there's the last light is gone in the sky, and they do it 7 days a week. And farmers feed our families, y'all. So they got a very special place in my heart, because my grandpa worked 150 something acres, 150 something acres, and he did so into his 90s. The man was country strong. Little bitty guy, skinny as a rail. But I'm telling you, he was one of those guys that would pat your back when he hugged you, and he'd knock the breath out of you when he pat your back. Just country strong. Yeah, yeah, he'd pat my back and pop some vertebrae. And he got into his 90s. He dealt with Alzheimer's, and we reached a point where we had to have him put in a home, because he had to be watched 24/7. And he was still physically just an imposing human being. He could do things that men a third his age couldn't do. And all the nurses there, we'd go to visit, and all the nurses there, it started off as complaining, but a few months later, they'd all quit smoking, and they'd all drop 20-30 pounds, because they had to go out and walk with him um, every day, because they were required to give exercise. Well, exercise, he wanted to go on walks, and so they'd go on walks with him. And, you know, he was a farmer. He'd walk 20 miles a day. So he'd go out and, man, he would walk, and his walking pace was a jog for most people, you know, and he wasn't a big guy, but he, you know, there was no slow in his walk. And all the nurses had to get healthier to keep up with him. So later they were thanking us that their lives were better because they'd gotten in better shape and quit some bad habits just so they could keep up with him. Yeah, there's already a song in a movie called Country Strong. I don't know if it would seem too much like copying that. Yeah, they were up in Ridgeway, Missouri, up near Bethany, close to Iowa. Yeah, we got about 8 minutes left. And I appreciate everybody stopping by. And it's just, you know, and I'm sorry I didn't have the motivation today to do any modeling. I just didn't. I didn't. I woke up last minute, and then when I woke up, I was having some technical difficulties, and then by the times I got those ironed out, I went, I just want to hang out and chat today. You know, we talked about PrinterBot, and sad to see them go, because again, they were not only a big part of the community, they were a big innovator. They were one of the few companies to actually be doing things different than everybody else, and not just cookie cutter copying everybody else. Fusion 360, I've only scratched the surface, but I've been following more of Lars's tutorials and a couple other guys, which I can't think of their names right now, but it would show up on my YouTube stuff, that I've been following their tutorials. The thing that I want to get into is I want to be able to do a little bit more organic shapes and whatnot in Fusion 360. So I've been watching a lot of videos on organic modeling in Fusion 360 here lately, which it's not, it doesn't seem like organic modeling is quite as intuitive as the technical modeling is, but it is possible. It's feasible. Mine's not crashing the computer, but Fusion 360 is crashing on me, especially when I go into the sculpting mode. I don't know if you've messed with sculpting mode at all, Chris, but every time I go into sculpting mode, if I make a move that's a very complicated move with a T-spline or a vertice, and I move it too drastically, it seems to crash it. I've got the hang, I think, of the simple shapes, and dealing with them. The thing is just having the vision to make the compound shapes out of multiple simple shapes. That's one thing I'm still dealing with. Once I get, and I need to sit down and draw stuff out on my sketch pad before I sit down and design it with Fusion 360. It's different with Blender. With Blender, you know, with Blender, I like to sit down with a blank canvas and have no idea what I'm making and just start making. I like that approach in Blender. But that approach in Fusion 360 doesn't seem to net the same results because of needing to know more things like dimensions and where pivot points and things like that are going, and needing to know that kind of stuff ahead of time as you're designing it, seems to necessitate planning things out and drawing it out a little bit before actually sitting down and designing it. So I think that's the route I'm going to go with my next Fusion 360 project. I'm going to start my own Fusion 360 project here soon, and design something. And I thought about maybe just redesigning something I've already done in Blender and see if I can do it, and then print out some of the pieces and see if they are, if it's worth it, um, if it's more dimensionally accurate and more uh, solid overall. So I think I may revisit something that I've already designed in Blender and design it from the ground up again in Fusion 360, and then print it out and compare the two. If that sounds like that would be something interesting, if that sounds like that would be something you guys would like to see, um, and that's that, then I will certainly give that some more consideration, because um, you know, a lot of people talk about the differences between different 3D modeling softwares. And so far, the biggest difference that I've seen with Fusion 360 is you have a more accurate um, form of measuring stuff, getting the dimensions right, and making sure you can get your clearances and tolerances right on parts that have to be assembled together. And it seems to do a much better job of that than Blender. So I would like to sit down, and something that I've already had to iterate 4 or 5 times in Blender to make it work, redesign it in Fusion 360 from scratch. And what I need to do to make that happen is I need to go buy a set of calipers, because I still don't have them. I need to go buy a set of calipers. I'll go to Home Depot and get myself a set of calipers. And that way I can take a part, like say I wanted to redesign this wheel in Fusion 360, then I could use the calipers to get my measurements and sit down and literally redesign this as exacting as I can. And then take my measurements for the wheel hub on the inside and this axle spline and give it the appropriate tolerances when in the design, print it out and see if it works better than the stuff that I've made. I know Amazon's less expensive, but I could go buy the calipers and have them in my hands right now. I could have a set of digital calipers in my hands in 20 minutes. Amazon can't do that at any price. But yeah, so yeah, I need to. I'll sit down and make a wish list, since Skalda suggested I do so. I'll sit down and make a wish list over the course of the next few days, and we'll put it in the channel description. But you know, it's again, I don't do this for people to give me stuff. I do this because I enjoy hanging out with you guys, and I enjoy designing stuff, and I enjoy 3D printing it, and that's the only reason I do this. Is just to be a part of the community and hang out and make some stuff together. So yeah, but I will do that. And then if you guys want to, you know, support the channel, of course, you know, all that, there will be eventually be a wish list, and there is Patreon links and PayPal and all that in the description as well. But again, I don't do it for that. And my one Patreon patron is here, so which I still appreciate very much. It makes my Patreon subscription to Walter $1 a month cheaper every month, because it comes in at the same time mine goes out. So I I have $10 going out to Walter and $1 coming in, so it just charges me $9. Yeah, I could go to Harbor Freight. I got one of those right here in town too. Harbor Freight's a little farther away than Home Depot is. I think last time I was at Home Depot had some for like $25. So, it'd cost me $5 more, but it would save me 30 minutes of driving round trip. Because Clarksville, I don't know if you know this, Clarksville is very, very spread out. Very, very spread out. And I live on one end of Clarksville, and get to the other end of Clarksville is a half an hour drive. Through stoplights and stop signs and all that. Anyhow, I know because I got started late, we haven't been doing this quite 2 hours, but we have reached the 10 o'clock mark. So, um, that being said, it's always good hanging out with you guys. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'm gonna get out of here and go do some stuff that I need to get taken care of. But y'all go watch Walter's mail thing video. Be interesting to see if he acknowledges him streaming instead of recording the one section. So I'll definitely want to hear that. And always good hanging out with everybody. And as Walter always says, be good to one another. Treat each other how you want to be treated. So we will see you all in the next one. And I'll pop in over there on Mike Whaley's Discord. So if anyone's heading over there, we can chat over there. Bye, guys.